Hey everyone, the Nintendo Switch is now 5 years old, which means it can finally,
stand on its feet for more than 9 seconds? Nope, still can't.
The Switch has amazingly just taken over the Nintendo Wii in sales, which is pretty damn amazing, but things could be so much better. Well, if it's been 5 years, surely they can't add anything new now, right? You're wrong. Nintendo just added app groups to the system and Bluetooth, registered trademark, audio. Of course they can do at least some more things. Like, a little bit, you know? So let's go through some of them. My list of what the Nintendo Switch still needs.
Now before I get into the list, I'm going to be saying some things that are potentially or outright unrealistic for Nintendo to add this far in. So consider some items on this list ideas for Nintendo's next console. Newsflash! Rumors are popping up for a Nintendo Switch too! I already made the script for this episode assuming it would be in the current console, but well, whatever. Take some of these suggestions as improvements to the current Switch, and some of these as features for the next Switch. Anyways, back to your regularly scheduled programming. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect any of these suggestions to be implemented at all, let alone all of them. With that being said, let's just get this out of the way quickly. Themes. Everyone went to the theme section of system settings and was disappointed or frustrated that there were only two options, basic white and basic black. Whereas the Nintendo 3DS had like 5 or so themes for free, and even a theme shop to boot later in the handheld's lifespan. I got the Sonic Boom theme because I didn't really have any money, but still, you gotta admit, having a whole page dedicated for themes and only having 2 of them in a selectable drop-down sort of deal, it feels like a placeholder for something more, like something more should have been there. But nothing ever came of it. Look at all this wasted space. You have 2 options here, Nintendo. Either you give us a theme shop, and for the love of God, free color themes, instead of forcing us to buy a basic blue theme, or just remove the page entirely and make it a dark mode toggle somewhere. I guess the Joy-Cons are enough of a customization to your Switch, but still, themes would go really well with colored Joy-Cons. Alright, next one, the spec bump.
Do you remember in 2021 when rumors of a Switch Pro kept popping up? It's gonna have great specs, 4K output, and will be announced at E3. We are still waiting.
Not only did nothing relating to any new hardware show up at E3 2021's Nintendo Direct, but shortly after, Nintendo announced the Nintendo Switch OLED, or OLED, which is a very slightly improved Switch that should have been there from the beginning. Reliable kickstand and obligation. OLED, the PS Vita already had that. Improved speakers? What? The LAN cable? I mean, I'm not the type of guy to use one of those, but still, it should have been there long ago from what I've heard. And 64GB of storage. Yeah, alright, I can deal with that honestly, but that also should have been there from the beginning considering how games balloon in size every generation. Oh, and Nintendo. Stop selling your branded micro SD cards. Needless to say, this Switch got dubbed as a Switch for the people who don't already have one. If you were going to get a regular Nintendo Switch, you might as well get this one, and if you already have one, don't get a new one, unless you're like rich or Nintendo collectors, you know, one of those people.
The Switch is noticeably underpowered. Even when it was released back in 2017, the iPhone X was more powerful. It's probably why Genshin Impact hasn't had a Switch release yet. And even more significantly, why you can download Switch emulators for PC and Linux, which became even more significant after the Steam Deck released, which unofficially allowed Switch emulation. The low system specifications are the reason why Nintendo's current generation consoles are being cracked for emulation so quickly and so easily.
Now, what will a spec upgrade do? I'm talking the CPU, GPU, the screen, all that shit. What are we gonna do? Well, the obvious is upgrading the processing power to allow more demanding games onto the system. It also allows for something far more important to me, Recording in demanded games. You can't take a 30-second highlight in Smash Bros. Or Fortnite. They had to nix it to improve performance. Same on the 3DS. While running Smash Bros., you cannot access the web browser nor Miiverse. And Fortnite is a game that breeds off of these short highlight clips. Why is this even an issue?
Nintendo hardware has always been underpowered. Makes sense, they want to stick to gimmicks instead of how fast they're shiny new devices. But maybe, just maybe, they could do better next time on the specs. Then these things wouldn't be a problem. I mean, you're trying to pitch the whole take your games on the go, right? That begs for third-party support, and for you, Nintendo, to support them with more legroom and less crunching the game to work on the Switch. Especially now with cloud gaming, you're screwed!
Oh yeah, also, Super Mario 3D World's Bowser's Fury expansion is capped at 30 frames per second in handheld mode, and I don't think I like that.
I mean, it's not that bad.
And Yoshi's Crafted World runs on Unreal Engine 4, and good for Nintendo for using it for the first time, I guess. I'm as shocked as you are. They really wanted Yoshi to look pretty. They prioritized frame rate with this, and honestly, I'm glad they did. I would rather have a better frame rate than resolution. But that high frame rate came at a cost of an absolutely butchered resolution. Just look at this.
Now let's make one thing very, very clear. What I don't want out of a spec bump are exclusive games. The 3DS did this, and my blood boils from the fact that Minecraft is on the new 3DS only. And I'm pretty sure the Xenoblade fans are pretty pissed at that too. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure they are. Let's just keep it to quality of life features, alright?
Oh yeah, and a 1080p screen on the console itself and 4K output to the TV. No need of rendering all that manually, like others speculated when the Nintendo Switch Pro was being speculated all over the news, it was circulating and Just use a 4K upscaler to take a 1080p image, resize it, and output it to the TV.
Psst, hey, you wanna know something cool? If Nintendo put a 1080p screen on the Nintendo Switch, they could probably do virtual reality games just like what would appear on a real VR headset, like the Oculus Quest. You remember Labo VR? Yeah, that could work really well if they added a head strap and a higher resolution screen. Oh, and also up the frames per second, so it's 90 frames per second? Because I've heard that the screen can induce vomiting if the screen is anything less than 90 frames per second.
In regular gaming though, 120 frames per second I don't think is a must for me, but with the way phones and computers and especially consoles are going nowadays, I think we should expect 120 frames per second output to the TV at least. I don't know how they're going to do it on the handheld right now. And do you remember Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated and its terrible Switch performance? Yeah. Anyways, next point, menu music. Compared to the systems that came before it, the Switch is so lifeless in comparison. I guess the Nintendo Switch setup helps with its funny sounds. But beyond that, the atmosphere is pretty much dead. I guess it's kind of late to add music now, since if they did, it would be a really drastic change. So maybe next console, but I just kind of wish they did it from the beginning. Plus, if they did add it, it will balloon the home screen's file size, so maybe severely compressed audio? Also, the menu is just kinda bad in comparison. Like, for one thing, the text looks horrible on my TV. Well, it's not a TV, it's my monitor. But still, look at this terrible, border on the text. It looks disgusting. It's just the home menu text. The games look good, but the home menu text and the quick menu text, it looks like shit. Also, the Wii U had all these cool things to do, like activity monitoring and Miiverse and stuff. Now look at the Switch. It is so simplistic in comparison. Also, I really appreciate the quick record and capture feature, but we gotta have streaming features like the Xbox and PlayStation do. Streaming to YouTube, streaming to Twitch, that. Plus maybe a feature that can stream the game to your computer so that you won't ever need an Elgato. I don't know. Next up is limited release. Yeah, I think everyone has this problem. Hey Nintendo, you know all those games that you released for a limited time just because. Mario 35, Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Edition, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Remember March 31st?
I don't.
Exactly. Please re-release those games you deleted off the stores on March 31st. Please, I need to get a victory in Mario 35. Please, I just need the number 1 spot just this once. Please. Next up, screen scratching.
The idea here is simple. Put a glass screen on the Switch console or put cloth or some other material in the dock to prevent screen scratching when taking the console in or out of the dock.
Next up, the Miis. You surely know these guys, right? I mean, who doesn't? Introduced with the Nintendo Wii, brought over to the 3DS and Wii U, only to be nearly devalued on the Switch. I mean, the setup asks you to make a Mii.
Where's the Mii music?
Making Miis are so lifeless now without the music, but we already touched on that. My issue right now is how little these guys are utilized on the Switch, even in places where they could have perfectly fit in. I keep a Mii as my profile picture on the Switch, and thank the Lord that online Nintendo accounts still have Miis. In fact, you can even make a Mii in your browser. I find that really cool, so they're not completely dead. I just wish in games like Clubhouse Games and Nintendo Switch Sports, Miis would have been perfect instead of plastic pieces or Ninjala characters. They could have been used in the main marketing. Why didn't they do that?
And your Mii could be a costume in Mario Odyssey? A boy can dream, alright?
Hey guys, if you really want to make a sequel to Wii Sports, put the Miis in. So yeah, Mii should be in the spotlight more. They are great, recognizable characters that should not be trashed. They are literally the forefront of Nintendo's brand, and I wish more people kept Miis as their profile pictures.
Because only half of my friends list contains Mii profile pictures. The amount of people in my friends list? So...
Alright, before the final and biggest section of this episode, let's run through some honorable mentions, bonus points if you will. Bonus point number 1. What if the Joy-Cons had microphones on them? Or you could buy specific Joy-Cons that had microphones in them. Wii U ports could get a new life. New games could use the mic for clever things, and voice chat would actually work on the system. Let's also not rule out the Pro Controller potentially having a headphone jack on it, which could hypothetically have headphones or a headset plugged into it with a mic connected to it like those third-party controllers. Minor bonus point number 2, custom Switch orders. Normally you would have to buy custom Joy-Con separately, but what if you could customize your Switch order? You know, order different Joy-Cons while ordering your Switch. Well, it actually isn't a good idea. It's just a passing thought of mine. This is a video game system, not a computer or phone that can be configured. It would be kinda complicated, especially to stock them in shelves, so pros and cons. Bonus point number 3.
Okay, now hear me out. This may seem stupid, but cloud gaming support.
You know how Microsoft is working with Steam to get Xbox Cloud Gaming on the Steam Deck? Now what if it also worked on the Nintendo Switch? I mean, cloud gaming already works. There is already Control and Hitman 3, games on the Switch that are simply just cloud versions of said game, and they seem to run well, at least from what I read online. But what if Nintendo worked up a partnership with Xbox or Nvidia, which would make the Switch the ultimate gaming thing? But knowing Nintendo, I don't think that'll happen. Just a fun little thought. Bonus point number 4. No friend codes! All of us wondered why we need to punch in a random string of numbers instead of a username like every other platform. The Nintendo Wii started it, the 3DS continued it, the Wii U didn't have it, but the Switch does. And it's not really entirely friend codes. You can add people based off of social media mutuals and people who you recently played with, so it's not all friend codes. But if you want to add someone specific, you still have to use a friend code. Well, if you're wondering why this is the case, the Nintendo Giga League of 2020 had a leaked slideshow of the Nintendo Wii. One slide detailing that the friend codes were supposed to be there in order to prevent stalking by some random ass dudes punching in a name they know. Instead, they have to figure out a number combination. Good security feature in 2006, I guess, but now it's pretty much futile today because, well, everything else involves punching in usernames, and everyone's online. So now it's just annoying. I do like the Twitter mutual request feature though. Great job! Bonus point number 5. We're almost done. It's Netflix. Why isn't it here? From the research I've done, it seems like the ball is in Nintendo's court. It was on the Wii, Wii U, and 3DS. Why not the Switch? Nintendo?
Imagine your Nintendo Switch being your smart TV. It would be amazing. Wait, isn't this mindset what brought down the Xbox One when it launched? Never mind.
I would still like to see Netflix on the Switch even though I don't actually watch Netflix. Oh yeah, and Discord. They recently added
Xbox
integration, so I think at least integrating the two accounts would be a great status to display to people. I'm gonna show everyone that I'm grinding this out of Mario 3D World. Also add the first time setup animation to the regular boot up animation pretty please, it's beautiful! And of course, I can't forget about achievements. We really need those for bragging rights. Everyone else has them, the Switch should too. Alright, here's the final category, presenting Nintendo Switch Online. Some people hate it or are fine with it. Never have I ever seen anyone who loves it. I guess Xbox has Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation has PlayStation Plus, so it's not the subscription itself that bothers me. I am personally fine with it, all the benefits are good and it does make me want the service, but I feel like it could be better. A lot better. I'm also fine with NSO because it's cheap for the base tier. Alright, first issue, pricing of the expansion pack. That is not worth $50 a year. Seriously, it's more than double the original price, which is $20 a year. Make it $30 or $40 at most.
Actually, hold up, let's do some math here.
Nintendo markets the original Nintendo Switch Online as having 5 features. Online play, NES and SNES emulators, save data cloud, the mobile app,
Yeah, we're getting to this later, but I would not tout this as a feature.
and ooh, mysteries! It's actually special offers, and yeah, I think that's good. And for the expansion pack, there's the Nintendo 64 emulator, Mario Kart 8 Booster Pass, Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise, just recently the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion.
Actually, Nintendo, I think it's great that you can get DLC through the expansion pack that you can otherwise buy for full price. Great job, Nintendo!
And the Sega Genesis emulator. Yeah, the benefits are so minuscule that these were separated to make it look like you get 5 more features. But even if that was the case, that doesn't justify the price. Actually, you know what? Screw Nintendo's marketing, let's make our own feature list. Base subscription, online play, NES emulator, SNES emulator, let's separate these. Save data cloud, I'm actually fine with this in the base subscription. A cloud service requires a subscription for maintenance. Exclusive games, and special offers. Let's split special offers into 2 because I'd rather have the games and services separate. Okay, so the expansion pack, DLC, let's group this. The Nintendo 64 emulator and the Sega Genesis emulator.
So that's 6 features to 3 new features, meaning the expansion pack by itself is half as worth the base subscription, meaning that the full loaded subscription should probably be $30 a year. Nah, actually let's raise it to $35 or $40. I feel that's more worth it because of all the DLC.
Also, this is more of a me problem, but I would really appreciate it if there was a monthly payment option. Actually, let's do the math for the monthly pricing, just like we did for the feature list. It's $10 a month for the expansion pack. And if we did our ideal pricing, that would be 40 divided by 5, which is $8 a month, or 30 divided by 5, which is $6 a month. Yeah, imagine that.
Hey, hold up. That name, expansion pack. It reminds me of something. Oh yeah, Wasn't that the same name used for the Nintendo 64 Extra RAM Pack? You know, that extra cartridge you buy to slot into your N64 to add more RAM for certain games that needed it? And now it's on Nintendo Switch digitally? Oh my god, did Nintendo finally figure out how to download more RAM?
Alright, second issue. The app. We don't need this. Voice chat should be in the Switch itself, at least by connecting a headset into the headphone jack. The friends list is easily accessible within the console, and the app-specific services, well, I don't know actually. Also off topic, but I do like the new missions and rewards section in the Nintendo Switch Online section of the Switch home menu, where you can earn platinum points by completing certain objectives and redeem those points towards small images you can stack up to form a profile picture for your Nintendo Switch profile. And I like it because this is the only use of platinum points for me besides Flipnote Studio 3D. I do wish there were Mii's there though, but it's not a huge deal. You're buying images. My bigger issue is that I find it pretty ass that I can't buy anything unless I have an NSO subscription. I have platinum points that are dying by the second. Just let me use them. Issue number 3, chat system. Simple point, I like to see a chat system within the console. I talk to my friends over Discord, but still I think it would be really great if Nintendo could develop their own chat system within the home menu like every other console and gaming platform. Alright, final point. More emulators. Especially handhelds like the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and the Nintendo DS and DSi. Not the Nintendo 3DS because that was literally the last generation, like the console before the Nintendo Switch. And for consoles, home consoles, just GameCube should be added because Nintendo 64 is already there. And maybe with the spec bump, probably the Nintendo Wii, but I don't know, man. The Wii doesn't seem like it should be emulated on a system like this. I don't know. It seems like it's too modern. I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up with it. I don't know.
Actually, if all these emulators do show up, maybe that'll justify the price being more than double the base subscription. Yeah, this is way too much. But I'm still gonna talk about it.
As for third parties, since Nintendo brought the Sega Genesis to the line of emulators, why not the Master System and Sega Saturn and maybe even the Dreamcast? Oh, and also on a completely unrelated note, could we finally get the new Mario Kart?
Come on, please?
Nope.
I don't think most of these will ever be implemented in the Switch. Maybe Nintendo's next console? I don't know. It's just fun to talk about. Oh yeah, and I also hate the fact that Among Us requires Nintendo Switch Online to play. Quite stupid, although I did play more of the game while I ran NSO trials as a result of this, so... silver lining, I guess.
Well, that's the list. Do let me know on what you would like to see added to the Nintendo Switch, whether that be the hardware, the software, or another console after the Switch. And if Nintendo doesn't listen... well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll keep buying their shit, I guess. The life of a Nintendo fan. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, right? Right.